It's time for another blistering report from the front lines of the cultural war for a constitutional America. And now, here's your host, Charles Benninghoff.
Members of Congress have launched an investigation into billionaire hedge fund manager George Soros. It appears that Obama gave your tax dollars to Soros to help him try to interfere with the elections in the nation of Macedonia. We'll find out in a bit why Macedonia is so important. And that's a great start, but don't you wish Congress would investigate how Soros interferes in our own elections in the USA? Why worry about Macedonia when he's doing far more damage here in the United States? Well, Macedonia is important too, so we'll get into the nuts and bolts of this issue. Today, I'll briefly explain who George Soros and his sons are, and believe me, from a patriot's point of view, they're enemies of the American country. Then I'll tell you how we can use a Civil War-era law that is still on the books to prosecute and jail the Soros Gang, and all of them, all five. And of course, your participation in this effort is vital. I'll hope you'll click on the subscribe link to follow this channel, and later on I'll let you know how you can join the fight against one of the most evil and probably corrupt families on the planet. Who's this George Soros? Well, here's a brief bio provided courtesy of the American Thinker, an online conservative venue for information, highly reliable. And I quote, "Devoid of moral conscience, Soros dumped 10 billion pounds sterling in a 1992 event known as Black Wednesday, which broke the Bank of England and led to a British financial crisis. It forced the devaluation of their currency while gaining for Soros a $1 billion profit. Through his trading activities in Malaysia, George Soros brought down that nation's currency. And in Thailand, he's viewed as an economic war criminal, and I quote, economic war criminal. He has openly stated that he sees himself as a messianic figure. Soros fancies himself as some kind of god while making his fortune betting on the collapse of national economies and currencies. That's George Soros in a nutshell. But George Soros is now 86 years old, and even though he's the one who is always making headlines, his sons are now doing the bulk of the work for Big Daddy Soros and the Open Society Foundation. I did an entire video dedicated to the Open Society Foundation last year, so look for a link to that video in the description below. The Open Society Foundation believes in totally open borders and the destruction of national governments through currency manipulation, and I think things could also be even more sordid than that. If you woke up tomorrow and found that your family was broke because the US dollar had collapsed due to Soros's currency manipulations, they wouldn't lose a minute of sleep over your misery, the misery of your family, the fact that you're on the street and homeless. So who's funding the Black Lives Matter terrorist group? That's Soros. And you know, those guys launched riots across America. The Open Society of Soros is an absolute funding dynamo for leftist causes. Who funded the nagging, foul-mouthed feminist rally in Washington, D.C. the day after Trump's inauguration that saw zealous, radical feminists and vagina collars wrapped around their necks? The Open Society Foundation by Soros. The group also funds the ACLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Globalist Democrat Party, and a huge list of other globalist political action committees. But now, back to Macedonia, but only briefly. Macedonia, showing in the map beside me, is a country that has successfully struggled from a socialist-dominated quagmire and reformed itself into an open market miracle that is being considered now for membership in the European Union and NATO. Its 2 million plus citizens are Slavs, Albanians, and Turks, about 2/3 Christian and 1/3 Muslim. Its importance is not so much dependent on its size, its population, or its commerce, but on its geography, including the fact that the Danube River flows within its borders for a distance, and this river, if ever it were cut, could hold entire economies in the surrounding areas at ransom. So Macedonia is a vital link in a free and prosperous Baltic region of Europe. Congress has discovered that the Obama administration, through the American government agencies USAID, gave millions of American taxpayers' dollars to the Open Society Foundation in Macedonia. The Macedonian government, in turn, has approached Congress with proof that the Soros Gang was trying to manipulate the outcome of the Macedonia elections. There are even allegations that Soros is now funding Barack Obama's own nation-destroying initiative. This hasn't been proven yet, and we're looking into it to make sure that it can be proven before we come out with that. You know, George Soros has 4 sons: Robert, Alexander, Jonathan, and Gregory. Alexander Soros is the one who makes the most headlines, but these are just 4 horsemen of the Soros apocalypse, and they're all now carrying on their father's mission to destroy the United States, in my humble opinion. In the 2012 election, Alexander Soros gave almost as much money to the Democrats and their affiliated PACs as his father did. Where's all this money coming from, you ask yourself? Well, in 2016, Soros was photographed hugging Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton, and a variety of Democrats, all globalists and anti-Americans. No conservative or patriotic groups are ever funded by the Soros Gang, at least that we could find. They only contribute to the most left-wing, radical, anti-capitalist, globalist groups. The extent of their meddling in American elections is unknown right now, but they've dumped billions and billions of dollars into electing globalists worldwide. I don't think that there's any question that they're trying to do the same here. So, think about this for a moment. 2 of the companies in Europe that design and build electronic voting machines are tied directly to George Soros. We've done videos on this subject as well in the past. You remember that those same voting machines, well, they just seem to switch your vote from a Republican candidate to a Democrat. This is but one way the Soros group is working to overthrow conservative freedom and replace it with globalist serfdom. So how do we bust up the Soros Gang? Well, here's a way I think it'll work. There's a law on the books in the United States called the Seditious Conspiracy Act. It's a post-Civil War act that hasn't been used much since the 1870s, but the law is still in effect today. It's vital and it will work. Let me read the relevant portion of that law to you. This is from 18 U.S.C. 2384. That U.S.C. stands for United States Code. So here we go. 18 U.S.C. 2384, and I quote, "If 2 or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the government of the United States, they shall each be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years, or both." Allegations so numerous that their veracity is unimpeachable state that the Soros Gang is funding groups that are rioting in the streets right now in an attempt to put down and destroy the U.S. government. That's the definition of seditious conspiracy. At least that's what I think. When you want to fund Black Lives Matter and pay them to go out and riot in the streets, and in some cases the allegations are they're killing cops, I think that's seditious conspiracy. Don't you? I think you will. So how do we go after the Soros Gang? Well, first, people in the United States have to speak out to Congress and tell the members of Congress to direct the Department of Justice to investigate the Open Society Foundation and the Soros Gang under the Seditious Conspiracy Act. A toothless congressional investigation will not get anything done. Why bother just investigating when there's enough facts out there that we can begin prosecuting? Thus, Attorney General Jeff Sessions will, once he's unleashed, do exactly what we're urging, and I am firmly of that belief. We have to rattle Congress's cage and urge Congress into taking bold, big steps in calling for and then supporting Attorney General Sessions' efforts to rein in the Soros Gang. Go to our action page today and start sending personal letters to Congress. Our system to do this is quick and easy to use. So stay tuned, because Bob Mallory will have instructions on the next screen letting you know how to get to our action page and how you can be an action hero. This is Charles Benninghoff Signing off and wishing you freedom, fulfillment, and God's many blessings.
If you're on our action page on our website, use the form next to the video screen to select a program and send personal letters to Congress. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the icon appearing now to find the link to our action page, or check the video's description to find the link. Speak out today.